12-year-old Reggie, a child from a wealthy upper-class family, lives in a residence as grand Central Station, complete with a chauffeur, housekeeper and nanny. On the other side, 23-year-old Eleanor comes from a poor family. To make ends meet, she works as a waitress and shares a cramped apartment with her boyfriend. Though they live in the same world, their lives are worlds apart. Yet, despite the apparent divide, their similar life experiences allow them to deeply understand each other during their brief encounter. Reggie is woken up by his nanny, not by family members. Dressed in a light blue robe, his melancholy is pronounced against the dark-toned furniture. He goes to eat in the large but desolate dining room, where his mother in a commanding tone tells him he must take the car home. After breakfast, Reggie returns to his room to seriously study music scores, while his mother's arguing voice on the phone in another room is jarring. Eleanor wakes up to find her boyfriend not home yet. Wearing a dark blue t-shirt, she packs her few belongings and heads to work alone, feeling sad and helpless. After breaking up with her boyfriend, Eleanor calls her mom but receives no sympathy or help. The only comfort she finds is lying on a sofa in a friend's room, reading, though she can still hear the landlord arguing on the phone next door. The harsh noise, the lack of warmth at home, the long lonely journey. Though from different worlds, they share a similar hue of life's challenges. To address her financial difficulties due to unemployment, Eleanor applies for and quickly gets a job as Reggie's nanny, after a brief interview with the boy's mother. From their first meeting, Reggie's music deeply captivates Eleanor. After music lessons, she is responsible for taking Reggie home, though he stubbornly walks back carrying his much larger cello. Eleanor doesn't treat Reggie like a young naive child. She doesn't insist on following her employer's, his mother's, orders to take a car. Instead, she walks with him, shaking his hand gently as if he were an adult. She sincerely praises Reggie's recent cello performance and asks, "I can tell you really love the cello. Is this what you want to do when you grow up?" Reggie responds, "No, first of all, I don't want to die drunk and alone. And second, art as a language is dead. No matter how you describe its beauty, it's extinct." Reggie's words are rational and calm, reflecting a depth and disillusionment not common in boys his age, and a resignation to the incompatibility of art with the mundane world. Eleanor is slightly taken aback by his perspective, finding it disheartening. This is their first discussion about musical dreams, and their first subtle connection across the age gap. Following the sound of music, Eleanor discovers the place where Reggie practices, an echoic space as grand as a swimming pool. After praising the cello's sound and the perfect acoustics of the space, Eleanor jokes that it could also be used for swimming. Reggie shakes his head. "I don't swim. I never learned. No one ever taught me." Eleanor senses a hint of sadness in his words and generously offers, "I could teach you." At the dining table, Eleanor notices that the female chef doesn't sit with everyone else to eat, which she finds odd. Reggie explains she just prefers sitting on the side. "Maybe you're projecting your own expectations and moral views onto others." Eleanor doesn't argue, instead pondering his words. Imposing one's expectations and morals onto others is an issue many adults fail to recognize. Thus, what's deemed odd by the world is keenly observed by the young boy. After a music performance, Eleanor and Reggie celebrate its success. She inquires about Reggie's plans for the upcoming summer vacation. The boy suggests he might just continue practicing the cello. Eleanor suggests taking a break, but Reggie asserts, "Indeed, it's time to stop." In response to Eleanor's clarification that she merely suggested a break, not a complete stop, Reggie firmly states, "No young person likes the cello. It's truly outdated and I should abandon it forever." His calm words carry a saddening resolve. Eleanor wants to say more, but Reggie changes the subject to discuss her hometown. For the summer, Reggie is supposed to attend a youth camp as arranged by his mother. However, no matter how much Eleanor tries to persuade him, he adamantly refuses. Using a worldly, mature approach, he skillfully negotiates with the next camp staff member with a check, ensuring they sign him in without his presence. After sorting out the camp arrangements, Reggie takes Eleanor to an upscale organic vegetarian restaurant she loves. Shocked by the prices, Eleanor still feels uneasy about skipping the camp and tries to persuade Reggie otherwise. He reassures her, "Trust me, no one cares where I am. Whether it's camp or studying at home, life goes on. If it's all the same, I'd rather stay home," Reggie states, clearly knowing what he wants. Yet this clarity also unveils his mother's indifference. It's the lack of genuine concern that leads him to say, "No one cares where I am." Eleanor feels a pang of sympathy, finding the arrangement odd but agreeing nonetheless. Instead of attending camp, Reggie and Eleanor spend 6 wonderful weeks together, deepening their understanding of each other. They share laughs over movies, visit art exhibitions, read in the park, and dine at Eleanor's favorite, though not upscale, roadside diner. When Reggie learns about Eleanor's troubles with her ex-boyfriend, he prepares vegetable cold noodles and tofu curry like a mature adult, comforting her after a recent argument. He even suggests getting help from the ex-military driver to stop the harassment. Eleanor, however, feels Reggie is too young to worry about her problems and doesn't want to burden him, so she declines his offer and asks him not to worry. Later, Reggie examines his arm muscles in the mirror. Perhaps the scene with Eleanor's ex igniting a protective instinct, wanting to defend her like a true gentleman. Eleanor also learns more about Reggie. In a conversation, she discovers Reggie could read at 18 months old. Reggie's mother, however, used to show him off at parties, insisting he read aloud at the table for a crowd of drunkards, using her son as a trophy rather than genuinely appreciating his talent. At 4 years old, Reggie discovered his gift for mathematics. For him, numbers and music were as familiar as his mother tongue, effortlessly blending into his world. This talent was inherited from Reggie's father, a pianist with a degree in physics from MIT. However, his father died in a car accident when Reggie was just 3 years old, and his mother later remarried. Reggie admires his father but also realizes that his father was not without flaws such as alcoholism. Eleanor nods in understanding, murmuring to herself that people are often like that, as her own father also struggled with the same vice. One day, Eleanor receives a call from her uncle informing her that her father is gravely ill. Fearing it might be the last time to see her father, she hurriedly plans to go back, arranging for a friend to cover her nanny job within 48 hours. Reggie sits next to her, offering a gentle and firm look of support.
Tell you what I think. I think that you and me should travel up to Oneida together. I'll keep you company.
On the bus ride back, Eleanor takes care of Reggie by tidying up his books and covering him with a blanket, allowing him to rest his head on her shoulder as he sleeps. With Reggie's company, Eleanor feels calmer despite her anxiety, no longer as frantic as before. Arriving at Eleanor's home, her mother is not pleased with her return and begrudgingly agrees she can stay as long as she doesn't turn on the heating. Eleanor resigns to the situation, stating she'll visit her father tomorrow and then disappear from her mother's sight. Eleanor had planned for Reggie to stay in her sister's room, but it's a mess, adding to her worries about her father and disappointment in her mother's indifference. Reggie sees her distress and assures her not to worry about money, suggesting they stay at a clean hotel instead. Reggie, fully empathizing with Eleanor's feelings, asks twice if staying at a hotel would make her feel better, showing his concern and maturity. This care is comforting to Eleanor, knowing someone cares about her feelings. Later, Eleanor borrows her uncle's car and they head to a hotel. After settling in, they lie in their beds and talk. Eleanor shares the reason behind her father's alcoholism. He returned from the Gulf War to find his wife wanting a divorce to marry his own brother, which led him to drink. Clearly, both Eleanor and Reggie struggle to find the familial warmth that's often taken for granted in other households, possibly due to their own family's troubled pasts. Exhausted by the conversation, Eleanor turns off the light, and Reggie, closing his eyes, remarks that he feels like he's still on the bus. The moment on the bus resting on Eleanor's shoulder was sweet and precious to Reggie. They continue talking, and Eleanor mentions her dream of studying cornet performance at Juilliard. Reggie, intrigued, turns on the light to ask more about it. Eleanor recalls her proud and happy moments playing the cornet, including performing at a ceremony attended by Hillary Clinton. As a child, Eleanor's excellent musical ear won her a cornet in a competition, leading to her joining the school's star band and performing at a university monument unveiling ceremony attended by Hillary Clinton. Eleanor had a solo performance then, and like how she once praised Reggie, he sincerely compliments her, saying it must have been amazing. Later, Eleanor received an acceptance letter from Juilliard but without a full scholarship. Due to financial constraints, she had to give up the opportunity and started working while playing music in the subway, where her performances were well received and tipped by passers-by. It was during this time that she met her ex-boyfriend. However, due to financial difficulties, Eleanor was forced to sell her cornet and a trumpet, a high school gift from her father. Talking about her father, the girl who lost the warmth of a family choked up a little. Eleanor asked about the piece Reggie had written earlier. He answered, like sunshine, like rain. Eleanor couldn't help but exclaim again at its beauty, and Reggie promptly promised to compose a part for the cornet for her. After visiting her father the next day, they began their journey back, and on the return bus, they discussed their future plans. Eleanor considered working at a ski resort in the western United States. Reggie questioned if that was truly what she wanted to do and what would become of the cornet. Eleanor replied that maybe one day she would pick it up again. Reggie closed his book and earnestly told her, "You have a gift for music and it's your duty to nurture it." But Eleanor only smiled bitterly, lamenting that she might become the worst musician in the world. Reggie firmly disagreed, saying, "No, I don't think so. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been selected for the school band or received an admission application from Juilliard. Not showcasing your talent is a crime." Eleanor reminded him of his earlier statement that music was dead. Reggie clarified, "Music would truly be dead if all musicians gave up their instruments to work at ski resorts. Promise me you'll return to music." Moved by his words, Eleanor looked into Reggie's eyes and said, "If you do, I will too." Reggie looked back at her and solemnly replied, "It's a promise." They cherished each other's talent and encouraged their mutual dream of music, making such a beautiful pledge only possible between those who resonate with each other. Eventually, it was time to part. Eleanor planned to start afresh, as being a nanny was only a temporary solution for her financial troubles. On the morning of her departure, Reggie gathered the courage to express his fondness and reluctance to part, saying, "It's hard to believe we've only spent a few months together. It feels like a lifetime. There's so much I want to say to you, things I never had the courage to say before." But Eleanor interrupted, "I can't always be with you. This is just temporary, and everything will get better." She then knelt down, gave Reggie a tight hug and a tender kiss, a gesture of comfort, farewell, and reluctance. Their story had long ended, but Reggie kept his promise not to give up the cello. The sound of his cello filled their circular courtyard, and Eleanor received a gift from the boy, a cornet and a newly written score. Standing on the steps in front of her house, Eleanor played the cornet. The cello's melody, combined with the magnetic sound of the cornet, gave the poignant yet intoxicating piece a touch of sunlight in their collaboration. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this.